It has been the longest off-season of SRA. The rust has been wiped off and the cars are revved up and ready to go. Welcome to SRA.
We're off and away for SRA.
Good evening, race fans. Austin, I'm your host tonight for Season 8, Division 3, Round 7 here at Indianapolis. I'm joined again with Dudley Do-Right.
Hey.
And also joining us for a second time, we have Adam, who was a D4 stream yesterday. So, Adam, how's it feel to be back in the booth for another night?
Familiar territory, different night. Definitely excited to see what's going on here in D3, and been keeping an eye on it in my off time on other weeks, but we'll hopefully not fumble over myself too much commentating tonight.
Oh, don't worry, you got me as the host. I fumble over plenty, so I got your back. Like we said, we're here at Indy. Let's hop over to the track map. See where these drivers might struggle, or we might see some overtaking opportunities. This is in Indiana, United States. It's 3.92 kilometers, or 2.439 miles, 15 turns. Super fast track, but also seems to go on forever, where you feel a little slow. Definitely corner 1. You're going to see a lot of action tonight with some dives from runs that start from turn 14. Turn 7, definitely going to see some people spinning the tires a little bit if they get on the gas a little too early. Turn 8, another opportunity for these drivers to have a hard braking zone and passing opportunity. Other than that, that's where I kind of see a lot of the action. Dudley, what are you thinking?
You know, it was funny. There was a couple places that I thought were going to be hot spots for passing, and they turned out not to be. I actually found through the S's going into turn 13 was probably, coming out of there and getting into turn 13. That was a pretty good spot. It all depended on the run through the S's, obviously. There's lots of different lines available through there, so that was pretty interesting. I was noticing, depending on what people did, where you were going to be catching people and where you could possibly set people up for an overtake. So there's quite a bit of action on this course in general. Obviously, turn 1 is probably going to be the biggest overtaking opportunity.
Adam, you got to see it firsthand in the booth. What do you think?
I did, and there was quite a handful of strategies. In early race, we saw a lot of scrambling for position, which was probably a good thing for a lot of drivers, because throughout all that chaos in the first 2 laps, there was a lot of position setting and track position that was played a big factor later on in the race. Because really, we saw a lot of spread out racing after that point. There was really only 1 or 2 battles on track throughout the rest of the race. So track positions can be key, and also definitely because of that, pit stops and executing those as best as possible, nailing those 5-second stops is going to be absolutely vital with a good finish today.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you mentioned pit stops, because while we're sitting here on the track map, around turn 6, if you're just heading into the pit lane, you look at your track map, horseshoe is roughly the person that you're going to come out battling, just because of how long this track pit lane is. Agonizingly long. As a driver, you're sitting there for so long. Let's hop over to the driver and team standings. We are getting towards the end of the season, so things are getting spicier by the day. So our leader, Eric Laren, 494 points, followed by the coach, the GOAT, Michael Jeffries, 42 points behind. And Krochek, 58 points behind. Corey Sircone, 73 points behind. Nate Roger, 3 points behind. And now we'll round up your top 5. As far as gold battle going, Really, the top 6 all have an opportunity to potentially overall win this. 112 points up to grab for these next 2 races. Each race is 112 points. And then you look at silver, we have Turner Johnson and Neil Sutherland and Elliot Levine. They look to be your top 3 there, and hotly contested for silver. And page 2 for the drivers. We just get a nice look at everybody that's involved in this. We will jump over to the team. This here. We got Michael Jeffries and Neil Sutherland holding on to first place at the moment with 754 points. The ZDR boys, Blackbird of Nate Roger and Turner Johnson, 24 points back. Madhouse Racing of Ryan Farrell and Eric Laren, 33 points back. Champion Motorsports, Alex Krochek and Sean Williams, 39 points back. And then Madhouse Racing, Andy Speed, Doug Lee, 220 points back. So, Team Series is also going to be very spicy with the top 4 separated by 39 points from 1 to 4. So it's going to be spicy here towards the end of
Yeah, it's definitely cooking up to be a good one, and a lot of the divisions getting here towards the end of the rounds.
I agree. I just heard that we are getting ready for qualifying at a very dark Indy. 6 in the morning. So these drivers to compete.
Wipe the sleep out of their eyes too, right?
True, you do have to rub all the crust out of your eyes and everything and hope that you are on it. Also, the track is fast. It's not optimum, so we'll see what kind of lap times we're going to see. I know last night we were seeing, I think, what was it, 36.3 was roughly our fastest time in D4. See what these D3 drivers can produce. Now, you may have noticed that they were on the finish line there for the start of qualifying. That was one of the rules we introduced here for Indy, just because of where the pit exit will dump these drivers out on the qualifying lap. We don't want to ruin any of the Silver's lap times. But Mr. Levine up being the driver out front. Now, Adam, how familiar are you with some of these drivers? I know that you primarily focus on D4. Familiar with some of their driving styles here?
Somewhat. I've watched the broadcast a couple times. I know we got a pretty aggressive mix throughout the field compared to D4. I've definitely seen a lot more action throughout the first stages of the race, and it'll be interesting to familiarize myself throughout the race with more of those that maybe aren't quite as aggressive and I might not see on broadcast quite as often.
Yeah, I would agree. There are some aggressive but fair moves being put on throughout D3. These drivers definitely have a bit more of the racecraft and ability to feel confident going door to door with their competitor. I know D4, no slouches either, but the higher you go up, obviously, you're going to see that more and more common racing.
Yeah, and I think we'll definitely see that come into play later on in the race as we have the changing conditions, obviously, as we go throughout the morning. Those tire pressures are going to build, and if you didn't, compensate for that a little bit ahead of time, depending on how you're trying to play your strategy, whether you want to be quicker earlier on in the race or later on, I think that could come into play because more aggressive drivers might people who push the car, push the braking zones and everything might struggle a little bit once those the pressures start to heat up just a little bit and get borderline sketchy.
Yes. I know it was tough because I like to practice race conditions. I don't practice qualifying conditions all that much, so as soon as I got into qualifying, I was going, where do I need to set my tire pressure? That's what these drivers are doing.
Yeah, and you mentioned the qualifying conditions. We actually expect those to change much like they did last night. The track's currently fast, and what we saw yesterday for D4 was that changed to optimum about the time that the drivers went out. So definitely expect those gold drivers to be claiming the top spots as the track starts to rubber and warm up a little bit.
No doubt. And then to add to that, you've also got in the race settings, once we get into the race, you asked me about it after the race last night, Adam, but it's definitely an interesting thing because this is the first race of the season where we actually have increasing track temperature. Everything else has been in the evening time with the track cooling down as the race went further on. This is the first time we start to see warmer and warmer temperatures as the race progresses.
Yeah, and we definitely saw a couple of different strategies as far as that went out. I know you mentioned you actually lowered yours a little bit, so mid-race they were looking pretty good and right where they should be. But I know we talked about it with Jet after the race last night. He said his tires were getting borderline hot toward the end, so it's going to be a kind of a split strategy, is whether you're playing to have maximum speed early on or later in the race. Depending on how it plays out, I know you got a completely different set of drivers here. Getting that track position last night proved to be really important because there wasn't a whole lot of passing going on throughout the race because everyone got pretty spread out for the most part. So establishing your position early, I think is going to be really important. And a lot of that could come down to if you're fast early, which is going to mean you're probably going to look at a little bit more aggressive tire strategy, which might result in being a little bit more loose and slick toward the end of the race. But that comes from the territory, honestly, of getting that track position early. The drivers just got to be on their A game and be able to execute toward the end of the race, but it's going to get a little bit tougher.
No doubt.
But someone that is trying to dominate their right here and get that track position, Levine setting a 36.7 right out the gate, but quickly Jarowski and Anderson making up some good time. Gonna be threatening here for that pole position at the moment. Coming around as I turn 12 into 13 here. Jarowski's up almost 7/10. Anderson's flirting with 4. Garcia behind flirting with 4 to almost 5 there. So those banker times were fast ones, but second laps is where a lot of the tires come to life.
Jaworski's put in a soaking lap, a 136.29.
Oh my goodness. What going on here?
That is a very fast early qualifying lap on the track conditions still being fast track conditions. We still don't even have optimum track conditions.
Yeah, I believe that was right around the P2, P3 time for D4 last night was a 36.2. I believe the pole was a 35.9. But yeah, for fast conditions, that's absolutely flying.
Yeah, I think I put in a 136.38, and that was good for 4th place. So
things are getting a lot more competitive towards the front here. A lot of people are kind of eyes wide open, kind of have the shoey dangling in front of their face, and they want to do that. So pushing all out here.
we do have Levine fighting back now. He's 0.3 up on his delta right now. Coming into the final corners.
Garcia might have to back out here. He caught up to the car in front of him, unfortunately. Ending up backing off, and that was Justin's home type of match.
Oh no, Levine lost all the time in the last couple of corners. He still gains a little bit, but not nearly as much as he needed to take the pull back.
Yeah, that last turn, very easy to get the car to start sliding out on you. You start really loading up laterally in that corner. You start to kind of feel the car want to go out more towards that wall while you're trying to hold it. You want the back end kind of sliding on it.
Definitely. We got Lee making big gains as well. He just put in a much faster lap than his first one. Not a huge jump in the standings because that's not that many people out there yet in that range that he was in. Still a big improvement from his first lap.
Well, somebody that's also going to make a big improvement is Almeida. Almost a second improvement from their banker time to just now, which moves him up to P8 at the.
Very nice lap.
We got some people in chat. We got Martin Riggs cheering on his teammate, GB3. And then GB3 is also in chat. Hi, Mom. We got the camera here for you, so you can always have that.
You don't have to worry about it.
Then you got You're My Boy Blue from Yit Cow Racing 5. Saying, let's go, Justin.
Ortegan's putting in a smoking lap right now. He's 0.7 up. Oh, he's losing a little bit of time here, but he's coming into the last corner. He's building time through that a little bit even. Oh no, he lost quite a bit there, but he might be making it up. Yes, he does. He actually gains even more. He's up almost 3/4 of a second on his lap.
That McLaren was scary good here, and he puts it P3 for the 7 months.
Very nice.
But yeah, that McLaren, it just feels like they had unlimited grip going around.
I'll testify to that.
Going around some of these corners. I was in the BMW, and that thing is a brick. It is not fun to sling around these corners sometimes.
McLaren was definitely fun to drive on this course. It definitely, you could throw it around quite a bit through the S's and not be too scared about losing control or anything like that.
Well, we are looking at the last 40 seconds here of qualifying. I believe Neil Sutherland will be one of our last drivers that gets across the line if they put everything together and finish their lap out before the golds get out.
Holy smokes. Jaworski's putting in an even faster lap right now.
Oh, I see it. I'm right on board with him here.
He is smoking fast. If he completes this lap with that delta, he is going to be untouchable. I think even the gold drivers will have a hard time.
It's one of those secrets that the Lambros are sharing with everybody.
Look at this. He's going to be deep in the 135s if he can hold out on this last corner.
That's clean, too.
Yeah, he's losing a little bit of time, but he's going to hold about a half second quicker. Very fast lap.
35 830. Crazy lap.
What is that in retrospect on the good old timetables of SRA? Like a D2 time, close to a D1.
Oh yeah, that's
time?
definitely a D2. That's almost a D1 time. Yes, sir.
I think
On a fast track, no less.
yeah.
Right. Not even optimum conditions. What kind of secret sauce did he put in?
He put in the secret sauce of the Krabby Patty formula.
No doubt. Well, there's your current pole sitter on the picture-in-picture screen right now, folks.
I'm with Neil, who is wrapping up the lap. I believe Nico Suave is the first gold driver out. Sitting there. Hoping that they get an optimum track. We'll see if it happens. Might come down with like 2 minutes left or so.
Does look like Neil is going to improve his lap quite a bit. Bumps it up to 7th place with that lap.
A 37-1, so nice grouping from P3 down to pretty much P11 for timings there for overs. Close there, so we might see some battles happen through all of them. Oh, Martin.
Definitely be.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'll let you go.
Definitely going to be curious to see here now if the gold drivers can take over that pole spot, because Jaworski definitely put a screamer out there on the top.
He did. Martin also giving me the heads up that is less than 2/10 off of a D.
Very nice.
But right on board here with Nico on the first lap as they come through turn one, really just slamming down from 6th gear all the way down to 1st or 2nd depending on the gear. Through turn 4 here, just dropping it down to 2nd or 3rd again, holding down the throttle all the way around until you get to this first short break. Nice and early double apex this one. corner really doesn't have a nice braking marker. You're just kind of going off feel. A little loose on exit though on this back straight, which you get to use the whole track, which is kind of nice. And when I first started learning this, I was like, oh, that's a track limits. I can't go that far. You can. When we get here in the turn 8, nice heavy levers on the hill. Nice S's where you're just kind of playing with the throttle and the brake. Just make sure you keep the car nice and steady. Putting it around. Well, here, get back onto the oval. Just take braking on like 300 meters down into the first or second. Avoid the curve one inside and into the ultimate turns here. Nice, easy on the brakes, glide around, throttle down as best you can to try to carry all of that momentum on this nice long straight. See where this puts me right here. P6 for a banker lap.
Very nice.
Ethan Marvin pulling a 12 at the moment with a 37.6. Williams taking over the gold leader here for the P6, giving Suave down to 7. Laren P11, Krochik P13, Lloyd P17, the P19. These drivers, they have so much talent. I'm only going to see green numbers here going forward. And I know I'm going to jinx every single gold driver. That's what I do.
Just as you said that, our championship leader Laren dipped into the red numbers.
That's what I do. Coach coming through, putting it P5 on his banker.
Very nice lap.
I know last week was a interesting week for him. He made almost all the right strategy calls. Unfortunately, was not able to get the win, but made for a very exciting race for sure.
He also made for a very exciting practice race Monday night when he was not the most successful driver on the track. Let's just say
I wasn't going to call it out. He already feels bad for that one. We've all been there. I did it earlier on the season by just being a dummy and taking out a driver. Thankfully, it's a practice race, so...
He's setting a fast lap right now. I'm going to ride on board with him and see what his strategy is for tonight. Looks like it's to go fast at the moment.
Yes. Good old Ricky Bobby. I want to go fast.
He's doing it.
Speaking of the coach, did put out his predictions. Make bold, he has no question about it. Eric Laren, guy that's been dominating so far. And then silver, he has Giovanni Garcia.
If I had to pick tonight, I wouldn't not bet on Krochik. He's been having a strong season and some good showings, and it's just a matter of time before he really puts it all together and has a race win.
He did. He put it all together at Misano.
Oh, he did. Okay.
That was the one race that I had to miss because I was getting my internet cut.
Ah, that's right.
So,
Jeffries did just complete a lap, got it up to P4 there. The coach putting it in P4.
Yeah, I feel bad, Alex. I know that you stated in the Discord I had my best race I've ever had, and I missed it. I apologize. We are back in action though, so we're able to just going, and hopefully you have another good race. We can get you up in the booth for win.
A couple of them here now getting in on the optimum track are we're probably gonna see lap times increase quite a bit. I do find the race sim is very good at simulating the changing track conditions, but it is still kind of like a switch gets flipped when it goes from damp to a wet or a good or a fast to a optimum. It is more like a switch gets flipped as far as the kind of grip levels you have rather than a progression that's a little bit slower. So now that the switch has been flipped, we're in optimum. We're going to see some green times all over the board.
And wouldn't be an SRA race. I didn't have a server issue where I got disconnected. But I'm getting back connected. You
in the heat of qualifying.
Yep. want, you can let everybody know what's going on.
Well, right now we got Williams putting in a heater. He's about 0.3 up on his fastest lap. He could be, but there's still, out of the gold drivers, nobody's cracked into the 135s. Jaworski's still hanging out there. We do have some fast laps coming in now. Williams putting in a strong one. We also have GB3 putting in about half-second faster lap than his previous best. Nobody at the top is really making as big a progression as I thought we would. When we saw the track flip optimum, I really thought we were going to see some heaters coming in. A couple of these guys are going to get one more shot at it though, so we should see some more laps.
Adam, what are you seeing so far? I know you've been observing quietly here. You got for him.
Well,
Qualifying.
I'm seeing a lot less pickup tonight than with the optimum track conditions. Of course, we're getting the optimum a little bit later than we did for D4, so not quite as much time for that track to rubber in. Probably not as much to be picked up, but definitely seeing a few pickup now, but just not the 1/10, 2/10 at the most, with the exception of Jeffries right now.
Jeffries on track for pole right now.
0.6 up at the moment from his current spot at P4.
He is going to take the pole.
Only by 700. That's
a lap.
Now, if I remember correctly, does pole get the inside or outside? I believe they get the outside.
Yeah, I believe they always pole's always going to line up on the left-hand side, regardless of track.
Yeah. No, might be.
I don't think so.
uh,
I think because I was P4, I was on the outside, so that would mean P1 would be on the inside.
Okay.
I just know that that first corner, having that inside line is a little bit nicer on you, so that way you don't run wide. We are finishing up with qualifying here. What were you about to say?
Prochik's trying to put in one more hot one here. He's working hard for it. Coming out of the final corner here, I don't think he's quite going to improve.
Aaron's trying to put.
Oh, absolutely. Laren's on a heater right now. There he goes. GB3 is putting in a hot one as well.
Laren's
in time now, of course, as I said something. Very nice. Completing the podium.
Yeah, these are the pickups we're expecting there. GB3 is still hanging on to about a 10. Lost a little bit of time there.
It did just rubber in a little bit later, like you said, Adam. I think it could even be the fact that there's just about 5 or 6 fewer cars running in this division than there was in D4 last night. So just a little bit less rubber lay it down every time.
So if Chris Sweeney's listening, you played yourself last night by rubbering up the track for the gold drivers early.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. One out with the silver. Still did pretty well for himself. I know. Going down the order here, Jeffries putting it pole, Jarowski putting it P2 in Lamborghini, putting it P1 for silvers, followed by Laren, Krochek, Williams, Bean, Suave, Marvin, P3, Felipe, Garcia, Anderson, Fredrickson, Air. We haven't seen too much of Johnny Air. Glad he's race. Roger, Lee, Almeida, Sutherland, Alexander, Johnson, Lloyd, Seckham, Lee, Supra Dave here. That is Ghost. That rounds red here for. So something that I did mention, track is warmed up now. We are 21 degrees Celsius. But another thing that these drivers are going to have to manage is the sun. are sitting at 8 a.m. That sun is absolutely brutal through some of these corners. Sitting there a while ago. I can't see my turn-in point, especially for turn 12. Tough one. Same with turn 6 and 7. That also very tough. Try to navigate.
America.
Yes. Now, we will get to see here how many of the drivers had their experience with the SRA 1K that we had back in January. It was either December or January, roughly, where we celebrated the 1K in 1 year for SRA. And that was a grueling 6 hours here at Indianapolis. Anybody actually participated in it brings in the knowledge of where to pass and everything. Because it is very tricky, especially once we start getting into the hitting phase. Like I mentioned, you gotta play your cards right and really look at where cars are on track pretty far back. Really, end of sector 1 that you're looking at. Make sure if you have the optimum time to pit, if you're coming out into heavy traffic, no traffic, clean air, dirty air, all the fun stuff. 1 car, 2 cars, all the fun strategy calls.
Yeah, the pit stop strategy was actually the only way I was able to end up taking the lead in last night's race. I don't know. Honestly, I do not know if I would have been able to get around the leader without the fact that he just had a little bit slower pit stop, and I was able to get out just barely in front of him. I was actually watching the replay just before we started here, and I think I got to make a recap video or something because it was that close. When I came out of the pit lane, I had to put a little slide job on him in the corner too, just to get that position away from him.
Yeah, I believe this track and Spa probably the worst in-lap and out-lap times like that affect your times. It was like this track had like 81% time affected the time spent in the pit lane.
Yeah.
This is all based off of the graph that you can actually access in the Team Series chat. It is pinned. Well, Martin Riggs pinned it for us. All these drivers are lining up now. I just found Indy lined up very early.
Yeah, they do get them doubled up early.
But I mean, it makes sense though. Corners do come up pretty quick. Our finish line comes up pretty well. We're getting ready here. On this last corner here, you'll start to see oval come into view here. Clean black asphalt that like it's been fresher compared to this lighter asphalt that's hitting them. Other thing too is my favorite thing being on the all the marbles. Love the sound of the marbles going into tires.
We go racing at Indy.
There we go, off and away for SRA. Looks like P1 and 3 got a good start here. Growski getting more caught up by that. But nobody's really making big moves here in the front. Very conservative through there. Jeffrey's forcing Growski very wide there. I see Neil having a yellow flag. If you want to take a look at what's going on there, Dudley. I'm going to keep focusing on the front here. People are jockeying for position. Side by side, a little further back. Levine, side by side. The cars in front, side by side.
Got Garcia off, Beverly off, into him. Let's take a look back here, see what happened here.
Oh boy.
Looks like Anderson got slowed down a little bit. And then they got about 3 wide coming out of there. Where does Garcia get up here? Oh, he gets into the back of Beverly.
Levine got spun around in turn 7. That's going to hinder their race right away. It is
They're
now
having the
open.
replay on that.
Ooh, Williams throwing a yellow here into the S's. Quickly, you want to take a look at that while I focus on what's happening up here. Laren battling Suave. Suave actually had a better run out of 12 there. Laren got more caught up. Might lose 3 positions before he gets to this corner.
It looks like Williams had to bail out.
Oh no. Laren lost 3 positions officially, and looks like he's about to lose a 4th all in one corner. Getting a little bullied there on turn 13. Had to check up a little bit with the car in front, so Laren looking a little feisty to come back on that one. Marvin's been making some good moves. Let's get hop on board finally. I get all those heli cannons. Calm down a little bit from the first lap shenanigans. You see some people pitting. Adam, did you see any big gainers there in the first lap?
Not a whole lot of big gainers with all the chaos, but I did see a couple people who lost some big ground. One of those, let's see, being well, actually 2 of those. We saw Neil Sutherland lose a few there. I think sitting P22 at the moment.
Coming out of pit lane now.
Coming out of pit lane, probably good to take that in. And then we also saw Nate Roger for ZDR Blackbird get turned around with a big off and sitting down 21st right now. And those 2 drivers, that's big for them because that's championship implications right there with the 2 leading teams in team standings.
Good eye on all of that, especially with how chaotic lap 1 is here, especially turn 7. Didn't expect turn 7 to catch so many people out there. Kind of anticipated turn 8 being a little chaotic as it usually is. Felipe having a moment there, having to mount the curb on the inside of turn 12. It goes wide into 13. Might be 14. Numbers are evading me at the moment.
Jeez. In all this chaos too, the coach has opened up a huge gap out front. He's like 4 seconds up on the rest of the pack. He can't even barely see the car coming through corner 1 before he's out of corner 2. He's that far ahead at this point already.
Sometimes that's what's nice about being up front. Just get to be a little squeaky clean, and you get to start pulling away from everybody while they start battling it out, and you're kind of sitting there going, please keep going. Keep battling out.
Please keep battling.
You do this, the further I go out.
Got a pretty close pack here with Johnson, Lloyd, and Lee. They're a little bit pretty small gaps between the 3 of them here in the midfield.
Fighting for every little inch they can possibly get, it looks like.
Turner's got a run on him coming into the S's here. Hard braking zone. He should be able to overtake him right here. Sure enough, he gets the inside. Does he hold? He does. He takes the position away and moves himself into 11th place.
He's starting to pull a little gap, but unfortunately does not hit that corner as well as he could have. This might allow Beckham to come back here. We'll see if they get a little bit better run, but not looking like it. They're kind of conceded that, all right, you got the position, and now is immediately playing defense, actually. With that car right behind him.
Take a look from a little further back.
We have Williams, Sutherland, Santos, Beverly, and Fredrickson all pitting along with Garcia. So early pitters, let's see if it pays off for them. I know that clean air is something that you want to have, especially with such a tight track like this. It is easy to lose a lot of time when you're battling with somebody.
There's positions being swapped all over here just outside of the top 10. These guys are battling like crazy.
They are. They want all the points they can get late in the season. I'm actually going to hop up to Jarowski a little bit further ahead. Keep an eye on that battle. That is the silver leader battling a bunch of golds at the moment.
Oh, he's really hanging in there with the gold drivers up front. That fast qualifying lap of his really gave him that edge up.
And he's all over the rear of Marvin. If he paid attention to the school of Doug, be a menace. The mirrors. That's the coaching that we got last season down here. I was on prosperous D2.
Yes, you got to make them think you're crazy.
Exactly. Occupy every square inch of window. Possibly can. Maybe throw a flasher in there, here and there, to throw them off the game a little bit.
Hey Adam, where you were looking at the pit stops a little bit earlier, did it look like some of those guys had some damage to repair? Did they take a little longer on some of those stops?
I know a few of them were head off. I'm not seeing too many long pit stops, with the exception of Fredrickson and Garcia both had pretty long stops. Fredrickson had 25 seconds, Garcia 47, but the rest of them were pretty standard.
Yeah, Garcia did look like he got tapped a few times in that little mix-up they had there.
Yeah, it's a little bit of deja vu there from D4 last night as far as lap 1 shenanigans goes.
Oh, no,
Cars
let's not
everywhere.
mention that.
Yeah, true. It was every which direction. And like you said, it kind of calms down a little bit, but they have not calmed down at all here in A3. They, like you said earlier, Adam, very aggressive, but fair notice being put on, and a lot of people respectfully following as close as they can, trying to eye up them.
Very nice. Good racing all the way around. Clean racing for the majority of it, too. These, like you said, Austin, these guys aren't afraid to go door to door. They have a little more racecraft and are not afraid, as we see right now, to go side to side, even into the tight corners.
Yeah, that
makes for some great racing.
is a tough spot. Yellow flags for Santos, who was parked on the side of the main straight, ends up calling it.
Oh no. We're just gonna say maybe there was something he had to attend to at the house. That's what.
What was it? LaFlamme during the practice race had the whole stink bug incident.
Oh yes, that was quite a fun time.
So we'll say that Santos had his own version of the stink bug. I'm gonna hop off the Jarowski fight here. Just keep an eye on it. Looks like Laren, Air, and Anderson here also having tested fights as they jump onto the back straight. 4-car battle with 2 cars a little further behind. Trying to be opportunistic if anything happens here. Surprisingly, ooh, really having off there, Lamborghini. That's Jarowski. That's our silver leader. They had a little bit of moment in the S's going in. They were in the grass while they let all the cars that I was following go by. So that puts him down in the P10, and that promotes Anderson to the silver leader right now. That's unfortunate. I know this track, if you just make just a little bit of error in those S's, they are very punishing. That grass, you're not stopping in. It goes on for miles. Oh, I see GB3 throwing a yellow and TP to the pit lane. That's unfortunate.
Oh, wow. Yeah, sure did.
I wonder what happened there. Jarowski throwing out another yellow, spinning
See
out.
if we can see what happened here. He was already heavily damaged, and then he just decides to pull off.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Something must have happened earlier there that we didn't catch. Just decided the damage was too much.
Jarowski's race has gone from bad to worse, unfortunately. Dropping down to P12, had a little bit of a spin there into turn 1. Lit up the rear tires to get the car turned around, so now he's going to have to nurse those back down to temperatures. Pulled off B here, Dudley.
Yeah, this has been the train I've been watching for the majority of the race. These guys have been kind of nip and tuck. They're spaced out a little bit now. Oh, wow. Turner Johnson gets way wide there, almost goes into the back of... Oh,
See Jaworski go around yet again towards the back, dropping all the way to P17 at this point.
Oh,
see if we can
no.
what happened here.
I'll hop off, Dorowski. Maybe your race will get better. I'm not cursing much. Like I said earlier, I tend to hand those out left and right.
Well, I must have grabbed the wrong car. Mistake there. My bad.
You can't quite peg what's wrong with the car there. His steering looks straight and everything. Been following for a while, but he's going to go ahead and head to the pits now.
He sure is.
Take care of whatever he needs.
You know, that might be just what he needs. A quick refresh the mind, reset, get back out there, head down, get going, see where he'll come out. Because I know he is still pulling into his pit box. We'll see when he's got moving, see who is going to come back to.
You know,
hopefully he's going to be fighting.
Fairly new to the D3 scene here. I don't know what Jaworski's history is, but I know there can be a ton of pressure when you get a super hot lap like he just did in that qualifying, and it seems like perhaps, I don't know, what do you think, Austin? You probably know him better as a driver than I do. Do you think he just, like, it was a lot of pressure having that good of a lap and being that far up in the field?
Yeah, I agree. It's the pressure probably was pretty high. Right now, also watching that have a spin out of turn 7 with the car that was putting pressure on. But yeah, definitely agree that having such a good time definitely puts a pressure. As I'm going to interrupt myself to watch Eric make a move here into a 13. That's a brave move, going side by side. Heavy braking zone. Fair move. Like Suave left the space. Both make it through. But that make air in all of them. Getting into this fight. Yep. Dorowski has been consistent this season. That pressure may have gotten him. I know, being one of the drivers that has made mistakes by feeling the pressure, it's tough. Feel it, and then you just kind of get a pit in your stomach. You're like, I messed up. I had all of it. So I believe that we've all been there. Have that pressure. Learn from it.
Yeah, and
come back better.
Yeah, and just one last note on him real quick is looking at pit stop time, pretty standard, 7 seconds, so I don't think there's any major damage there to take care of. Just need to kind of hit the mental reset button a little bit and start this race over for himself.
Yeah, we'll see where
Dave
recovers from that. That is a nice little fun thing to do, especially you got 45 minutes. And you were saying something about Super Dave there.
Yeah, in the picture-in-picture, there was a really interesting moment there. I just caught it, but it was weird. Both him and Lee seemed to go off the track at different spots and caught each other out. I think they swapped positions back and forth a couple of times now. I'm not even sure where they ended up in the scheme of things at this point.
A no after you kind of thing.
Yeah. It wasn't even that. It just seemed like they threw each other off by one of them was offline, and that threw the other one offline, and then that threw the other one offline, and they both ended up off the track at various points. So. Looks like they've recovered now, though. They're both back on the track and looking to set some laps, but they've definitely not setting a good lap this time.
Well, looking here, I'm actually on board with Matt Morrison. I know that it doesn't look like he's that close, but I think you do with heavy braking zone like this, only being 4 tenths off far in front, you can really catch their bumper just because of how slow turn 1 is, how fast that main straight is. You're pretty much reaching max the car can do. And then immediately very heavy braking is probably the zone that you have to brake the hardest for some of the tracks here. You're braking roughly around that 450 marker for some cars. Some cars can push it to the 400. So no other track are you really braking that early braking.
No doubt. Very fast straight. Turner Johnson here, I'm riding on board with him, PNP. He's got the biggest gain in the whole race. He's up 11 positions right now, and he's also on the back of this little pack, little train that's kind of developed here. We're 9th through about 6th place. He was right up on their rear bumper. He kind of fell away as I was watching him here through this lap. But if he gets a good opportunity, he could be taking up another 3 or 4 positions right here. So he's one to watch as the race progresses.
Yeah, and of course, in the context of the team standings, that's going to be every one of those positions is going to be pretty crucial coming into Watkins Glen next week.
I was honestly amazed how close the team series is at this point. Normally, you kind of start seeing teams driving away with it. Typically, you're seeing one or 2 teams at this point. But seeing 4, it was a little shocking to see that. Oh, move being made by Anderson here into, I believe that was turn 4. Like we said earlier, that McLaren is having what seems unlimited grip and really showing it off there.
Oh yeah, he tucks it in very nicely.
Yeah, I had that move pulled on me in the practice race, and I remember going, what the heck just happened? How did he pull that off? There's no way that there's that much grip. Yes, there is. It's almost, you're just sitting there as a driver going, what the heck? A little frustrating.
One thing I just want to point out, I'm looking at our timing and scoring. That lead to that coach has is shrinking.
Yeah, weird.
Right.
I think it was, what, 5 seconds when he first pointed it out? No, it's
Pretty close. 1.4.
Now the question is, it looks like Krocik has also left quite a gap behind him to 3rd and even 4th place with Marvin and Laren back there. So I think, I don't know if the coach is necessarily slowing down. I think Krocik might just be pushing the lap times a little faster and faster here.
Especially McLaren versus BMW. BMW in some of these corners definitely felt a little loose, probably compared to the McLaren, which has a lot more of that aero downforce, which allows to get that more mechanical grip. Especially as we saw earlier with that pass from Anderson, really letting it shine. And that's kind of one of the areas that we see it struggle with.
Oh, jeez. I'm sorry, Krocik just about had close encounter with a lapped car right there as I was watching him on the back straight.
Right now, Felipe showing the McLaren power again in a similar spot as Anderson, which catches Johnny Air off guard, and in the matter of the next corner allows Aaron Johnson to go by. So Johnny Air, not a big fan of McLaren's tonight. Been loved by 3 so far.
Not at all. I had it all the way up to 6, just 2 laps ago, and then free falling all the way back to 9th at this point.
Yeah, Sector 1 really shining for those McLarens. I believe the Sector 3 too is another spot that they're really shining, especially that long sweeping right-hander planted. Doesn't want to lift off. I know, like we were saying, the coach being the BMW probably feels a little unsure of the car on points through that corner. But a little slidey.
He does appear to be being reeled in by McLaren right now as we speak. Krocik putting down some good laps and continuing to put time on the coach. He has fallen off a little bit, as you said, in the center section here. That's where I both feel like and seems to bear fruit in this race that the McLaren suffers a little bit. But yeah, for 3rd sections, putting down times.
One thing I want to say, remember Jarowski taking that pit stop maybe to refresh his head a little bit. Puts in the fastest lap, a 36.9, and is starting to cut his way through drivers that already pit there.
Yeah, very nice lap.
Yeah, just the lap before that was 36.6. So yeah, definitely putting down some heaters right now. slicing his way back up through the field.
It is funny. I look now at the sectors, and we were talking about the Sector 1 and Sector 2 being the McLaren strong suit, but the coach and Krojcik, first and second place, they're actually tied with the exact same time through Sector 2 at 32.1. So I don't know if that McLaren is as weak through that middle sector as I was thinking.
It's gonna be insane. Where they battle it out if the move gets done in Sector 1, if Coach is able to try to battle it back there in Sector 2, but I just think the McLaren is too strong in Sector 1 to really allow the coach to fight back their second sector.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Some of that middle sector time could be due. I think on that. I think on the back straight, it's just long enough to where it starts to reach into where the McLaren can stretch its legs once it gets into that prime turbo power band. Because it tends to come into its power just a little bit later than everything else.
Lee's got a good run on air on the back.
It really takes off.
Absolutely. Showing off the McLaren power right now. Lee's all over the back of air right now on that back, trying to get that McLaren past that Ferrari.
Something too with the Ferrari does have a turbo leg within it too, so that could also play a part with in those corners you have to just kind of let the car glide a little bit through the corners. You're not able to keep the turbo spinning as much as you need it to get full on power.
I haven't driven much of the Ferrari, but it does seem like a car that does take a bit more finesse, perhaps a very practiced left foot braking technique to be able to get the good lap time on that.
It very much feels like the Aston Martin in terms of just the throttle input and control you have, because you're trying to maximize the amount of downtime that you have. Like, you're trying to make sure you don't have as much downtime in the engine turbo. I do know that it is still a fast car and has a very good aero. It is classic Ferrari, but just seems like that turbo leg is what catches a lot of people out.
Boy, Lee is just pressing hard with that McLaren down the back of the Ferrari right now. You could see, oh, so close under braking right there. Oh my goodness.
Johnson ahead of them, also having an off track, as you can see the just joins in the picture-in-picture there.
Oh
behind.
no. Let me see if I can grab the replay on that.
Yeah, it was good.
See
Heads
what
up
happened
driving there
there.
to stay
Oh,
off
yeah.
track until they got by.
That's also
Very
a tough,
good, yeah.
tough spot to really try to rejoin with cars, because it is so fast of a left to right cutting across the track. So, good awareness all
Great job
around.
with all the drivers. Yeah,
Yeah.
good job with the other drivers staying wide in the S's. It's a very easy place that could have made a big mess out of things, but great job all around.
Yeah, looking at chat, seeing you mentioning that BOP that's putting the 296 a little bit behind the 8-ball for this race to start with, much less any other advantages it might naturally have at this track. It's going to be an uphill battle for, I think, all the Ferraris to keep toward the top 10.
What was it? Was it like negative 40?
40 kilograms, yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
gosh. That's tough.
It does need it though, because that's the thing is, I mean, you look at Lee, how hard he's pressing that Ferrari down the straights. I mean, if it didn't have that adjustment, I mean, geez, it seems like the McLaren would just be walking by it right now.
Yeah, I think that.
Oh, he gets him on the inside into corner 4.
Great move there. Didn't even give him a chance to block it.
We'll say update on Dominic here. In the third place of all the drivers that hit, and just passed Neil, and made it look easy, it seems like. Just gliding through some of this traffic. Anybody taking tires? I don't think we have anybody that took tires. If anything, it would have been the people that had a longer hit, just because they were fixing damage, might take the tires, just feel confident again. But I don't know if we're going to see many drivers taking tires. I know that last night with Molina taking tires, but the cost-benefit analysis that you have to do as a driver on the fly sometimes.
Yeah, it does take a bold strategy to know you're going to be fast enough with those fresh tires to make it worth. Oh wow, Air dives inside and he's way late on the brakes and into the grass. He's going to lose a couple positions out of that one.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate mistake. It's going to cost him a lot.
Go back and look here. He dives into the inside, does it to avoid knowing he had already missed his braking point. There was no way he was going to get slowed down. Gives up the positions. He enters the track safely.
Looks like Almeida took tires. He forgot to turn it off, unfortunately.
Oh no.
I've been there. It is a pain because sometimes you go into the pit lane and you're like, oh, I forgot to do this during the warm-up lap. And you're panicking and hitting all the wrong buttons. I've definitely been there.
Boy, Turner Johnson was making good progress in the field. He's still up 11 positions now, but that off track definitely cost him. He was going to be way up there. He's still making his way back up, recovering well.
Well, update. Coach has started to pull out the gap again. Kochek, when we first updated it, we were like, oh hey, Kochek's catching up 1.4. Now flirting with that 3-second gap at the moment.
Yeah, we see a little bit of fall off in lap times. It's about pretty close to a 37.2 for Krocek right now, and Coach is still running 36.8. So really no fall off at all there. So maybe a little bit of graining or something affecting Krocek. We come into a little bit warmer track temps, as pretty much all tracks in some exception. Just a little bit of the front straight.
Yeah, and like you did mention, the track has warmed up. It is now 22 degrees, which doesn't seem all too significant, being a 1 degree Celsius change, but that does affect tire pressure. So if you were just on the high end of your tires, that you are getting even closer to your optimum pressure that you'd like as a driver. 1.9 actually took things up a little bit, which is nice, so you can play around in that 26 to 27 range. What you like as the driver. It gets hotter and you like them softer tires, you want a little pliable, or running the firmer tires, which you might have to change the driving style on the fly as well.
Right now in the picture-in-picture, I'm watching Anderson all over the back of Nico Suave. A little McLaren on McLaren action here as they head down the front straight. Anderson might have a run on him here.
Yeah, I've been watching this fight. This is also on the main screen, but I'm on the wing of Nico here. The past 2 times have gone from that last corner onto the main straight. Different methodology of taking the line. Looks like Nico likes to run more towards the middle of the track, whereas Anderson likes to swing the car out wide and try to hug the wall as early as possible.
Yeah, it almost looks like at this point that Nico's going a little bit defensive with his racing lines.
Yeah, I definitely think you're right there. Especially turn 1, we saw him take a really shallow entry to try to guard against that late apex from Anderson. And to his credit, it works. Still keeping Anderson behind him, not even making any moves there through sector 1. We know that most of the moves have been made so far.
It is very difficult when you're in the same make and model of the car. Oh, Anderson has to check up right there as he was afraid he might make contact at the time. When you're in the same make and model of the car around this track or most tracks here, it's extremely difficult to get a big enough advantage to pass somebody. It's like you were talking about with the school of Doug. You pretty much got to scare them into making some kind of mistake, some kind of error before you're going to have enough pace to pass somebody. It's not going to just be able to walk around them with the normal amount of passing techniques.
Well, yeah, we saw that a lot last season. I'm not sure if you're aware, last season D3 was oops, all Ferraris. I think
Yeah.
80% of the grid was the 296, and then he sprinkled in 5 Lamborghinis and 2 to 3 Mercedes, and then 1 Porsche. So.
Wow. Seems like when the 296 came out, everybody wanted to drive it, that's for sure.
I will say the 296 was one of those easy to get and comfort cars, just to make it that thing felt like it was on rails. So I see the appeal to it, especially with so many Ferrari fans. Good old Plan E starting out as a Ferrari conglomerate. A couple other conglomerates that were mainly Ferraris. So I can see the popularity of it right away. That 488 was such a good car, apart from the suspension. Nate Roger here, trying to make a pass on the Sutherland. It's now a drag race at the moment down this long main straight. See who's going to be braver on the brakes. I know McLaren has some questionable brakes at times, but it looks like Roger was able to be a little braver, and Neil wasn't wanting to fight as hard as probably could have there. But I know that corner is tough to go too wide in. Somebody inevitably always goes out wide, washes out.
Aaron's trying to do the same thing on his teammate now here, just coming through corner 1. He's been chasing him for a little while. I believe he's our championship leader, and holding strong in 4th place, but hunting hard to try to take that podium position.
Some tight battles forming up and down the grid is good to see. Seems to be a lot of McLarens that seem to be trying to make the moves. It seems to be a common occurrence.
Are fast.
I remember in 1.8 the 720 was the car here. So seems to be no different for this Evo variation that we're seeing tonight.
Boy, it's so interesting to look at the different lines going through the S's between Anderson and Suave right now. It just looks like Anderson's going to be able to walk around him, and then you see, oh wait, he's on a different line. He's got to check up again right here, and Suave can stay on the power. Just makes for really fantastic racing. I was surprised at how much this course makes for that kind of stuff. You can have two totally different racing lines and end up coming out with about the same gap at the end of it anyway.
It looks like Laren, we were talking about it earlier, he is looking to make the move into the braking zone. Is he able to pull it off? Goes a little deep. Is the Lamborghini gonna fight back of Marvin? Unable to stay within wheel to wheel of Laren there. So Laren making a brave move under braking to turn 1 as the Marvin and the PIP there. Force him to take a little bit more of a shallower line and still able to come out on top there. But Marvin not giving up on this. Not too far back, able to kind of stay within 4/10 through the first sector, which we talked about. Aaron loves that first sector, but that Lamborghini with the engine braking can take those turns pretty well. Just being off throttle where the car just kind of naturally turns, which is fantastic. It's a nice little feature that Lamborghini has compared to every other car, which makes it unique.
Yeah, it looks
Very
like
nice
Lamborghini's definitely got him on entry there. But what I'm noticing as far as the McLaren goes, it looks like he's able to get back to the power a lot sooner.
But we are seeing that the Lamborghini is going into the pits there, Ethan Marvin, so that that fight will be over for the time being.
You also
Like-
see Anderson pulling off in the pit lane right behind him.
And we'll see where they come out because, like I said, you really have to keep an eye on pretty much the whole track map just to figure out roughly where you're going to come out on this track. So if they start moving and somebody's in turn 12, really that's who they're fighting on exit. Pay attention to...
Oh, Anderson's slow in the pit here. I'm not sure what he's doing. Did he forget to turn off tires? Dove into the pit lane. I was wondering if he was going to try this strategy. It seemed like he was being slowed down a lot behind.
He's going to come out roughly around the Roger and Sutherland fight here, maybe just barely in front of them. So see how that's going to affect his race, because that seemed like a very long pit stop.
It was indeed, because he was fighting like crazy to try to get past Suave, and I think he finally just decided, you know what, I think I might take my chances of being faster in a more open part of the course. But I don't know what happened on the pit there, whether he just got a little bit bad stop point, or if he took a lighter fuel load, and maybe that's why he was faster than Suave. It's going to be interesting to find that out.
Where is Nate in comparison here? Just right behind him. Looks like it's going to be about a second behind him, so a very close fight there. Basically, just kind of threw himself into, has to fend off if tires cool down, which can cool down quite a bit in this pit lane. Only
Yeah, it's a long, slow pit lane. I commented at one point, I wish I could put it in auto drive on the pit lane so I could go grab a snack.
As good old Pat likes to call it, the beer straights, it's more of a two-beer lane.
Yeah, two-beer lane. Oh boy.
But update, Coach still being dominant right now. About 3 seconds, so holding that lead, pulled it up just a little bit, but it's still fluttering on 3 seconds, but seems like he's pulling it out ever so slightly. But Krocek not wanting to give it up. They are running similar lap times to each other, and the last lap was a 37.4 for the coach, whereas Krocek was a 37.0. But it seems like Coach has been overall a little bit more consistent through these laps. About
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was about to say about half the grid looks like they roughly half is completed their pit stop, so see how top half goes packs this. See now there's cars that are everywhere on track, so it's gonna be tough to find that clean air spot. As you were saying, W?
Yeah, no doubt. It is going to be tougher to find open gaps. Right now, we still got Johnson and Lloyd with the biggest gains. Lee also up 13 spots. Now, granted, they haven't pitted yet, but we still are seeing pretty big gains out of those guys. We'll see where they fall when they get into their pit stops. They might run it as far as they can and see if they can just stay with the faster traffic for as long as possible.
I jump on board with Williams here, Byron, Sucre there. Williams has pit, where Sucre there has yet to pit. So, different strategies, but they are still fighting for track position. How aggressive Sean is going to get, if he's going to be a little bit more fast, since he knows he has the pit stop ahead. Also in the back of his mind, probably thinking, I need to get going. A group to catch.
Indeed, the time is getting shorter. Got about a third of the race left to go now.
The car that went wide in front of them back on track, looks like that was Alexander there. Skyler wide, but Super Dave makes an exit there on take on exit of turn 7, which allows Williams to glide past on that back back straight. So no contest until 8. It looks like Williams ready to go.
Looks like he might make quick work of Gil here. He seems to be struggling. I don't know if his tires are overheated in this warming temperatures. Seems like a lot of guys, as Adam had pointed out in the interview last night, it seems like a lot of guys might not have been prepared for that. They just didn't think about the fact that, hey, a race starting at 8 a.m., you're going to see some decent temperature increase as you get into the race. Gil, I think he must have added some overheated tires. He decides to dive in the pit lane.
Get a nice little cool off, reset, go back out and attack.
The grass doesn't cool him off that fast, does it?
No, it does not. If anything, you end up making the tires hotter because you come off the grass and immediately spin, which is because you're like, all right, let's go.
Yep.
Put the pedal down a little too much.
No, it's easy to get anxious.
Adam, what are you seeing so far?
Well, what I'm noticing is Dominic Jaworski climbing back up through that field. Sitting P14 right now, still holding on to the fastest lap of the race and still setting pretty solid times after being all the way down, I believe, at 22nd towards the beginning of the race, as we saw a couple of big offs and spins. And speaking of, we got Marvin backwards on the track at the moment.
Oh my goodness, let's see what happened there.
I have to go
back to
30.
him. He got wide.
Oh no.
He hits into the inside grass and then just parks it wisely right here. He stops. This is very good. A lot of people might think, oh, he should get out of the way. What he did right there is exactly what you're supposed to do. If there's a car coming around the corner, you stop and you let them go around you.
But yeah, always be predictable. But now, that was the correct call. It was just, I won't stay here. Car's gonna see me, hopefully, and I'm not gonna make a muck of this just by moving. Alejandro coming out right in front of Felipe here, being a blue flag. That blue flag right in front of this battle that we're on board with Lee and Felipe. I have to dive out the way.
Just noticed in the chat that GB3 put a very crying face in.
Yeah, it's been a rough season. Him and Martin got the Patches O'Houlihan treatment. Where Patches just got the voodoo out into the open, and it looks like Gordon and Martin caught the strays being on the fantasy team, as we see Felipe going really deep.
Really deep.
Taking out all the not the braking, but the turn boards there. And has to avoid the wall that's in the middle of the same.
Oh my goodness, it looks like they've been kind of nipping with each other for a while here, and then yeah, this is the replay I got on the picture-in-picture down there. He just got way too deep into this braking zone right here and had to bail out.
Oh, just a little, yeah. Good on
Takes
though.
the dirt lane. Where did he, oh, he thought he could cut there, and then he realized he had to go back around the wall. Oh man.
Well,
that's just terrible.
Something heartbreaking has happened. Probably the worst thing you could probably get on this track, other than the stop go 30 drive-through.
Who's got the drive-through?
Supra Dave, unfortunately, has the drive-through.
No. That is like an eternity of time lost on this track.
That is a momentum killer. If they had any momentum, it is all gone.
That's about 52 seconds extra time. Definitely did not want to add on to his race right there.
I'm curious how that happened, because I think I made it through this race with not a single track limit incident. It's a very forgiving track as far as that goes. So I'm curious how that happened.
I'm gonna hard argue against that. you can flirt with danger there on turn 12 and turn 4.
Okay.
Or you could take the lawnmower line like Felipe did.
Yeah. That was probably a track limits infraction, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
He did make it through the corner this lap. Very good.
Yeah, I remember in the 8 hours, those were the corners that really caught you out, because that turn 12, you get a little greedy sometimes, especially if you have one of the shorter cars. Catches you out a lot easier, just because the rule is as long as your left tires, yes, your left on the right-hand turn, keep on the curbing, you'll be okay. People may have been a little greedy there and maybe back guts. I know I got a couple of them.
Yeah, I could never get the McLaren to turn in quite hard enough right there. Almost like I wanted it to get closer to a track cut, and instead it's always carrying too much speed. You're talking about right here, right?
Yeah, right there. Green numbers go burr, monkey brain, neurons activated, make time go greener.
What did you just say to me?
Just all the dominant colors.
Thanks for clarifying. We thought
I was going to say, Adam, did you follow any of that? I thought he was having a stroke.
Oh, yeah. All the speaking of things that are memes, Gordon Beverly and Martin Reeves in chat planning on getting barred up so they can take patches through litigation that will take down to them.
Oh my goodness.
Want to call out the coach. Sitting 4 seconds now, throwing that lead to 4. Been very consistent. Looks like he's been sticking in the 37.6s at the moment. Kochek might be bouncing around from 37.3 to roughly 38. Just being consistent is going to be king here.
Coach putting in a very, very good race. Just very consistent, very smooth.
Speaking of consistency, I just gave Nate Roger the curse because I was speaking about consistency. Starts to go wide there.
Oh boy. Look what you have done.
I know, and now he sees the coach in his mirrors now. So going to play a part into this battle is how effectively are these two going to navigate blue flag.
It does definitely play with your mind when you see, oh my gosh, the leaders have caught me.
Oh.
It definitely, like, it makes the whole race feel different. Oh.
It weighs on you for sure. You're sitting there and you're like, oh, now I have to slow down. If you had a rhythm, it kind of messes with it a little bit.
Let's ride on board with the coach here for a lap and just see how it's done.
Like Beckham here and Fredericks are trading spots down that back straight. See if Justin's able to fight back or if that McLaren powerful, but puts it side by side actually right now through this first sector, which is catching me off guard. Able to plant it in front, and unfortunately there's contact and they end up kissing the front hoods together. Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh.
Let's see if we can catch this replay and just watch it again here. We're side by side.
Yeah, may have just been maybe inside car off guard with that.
They kissed a little bit. Oh. And Suave just threads the needle between the two of them. Unbelievable.
Gotta be opportunistic, gotta keep on racing. But
Hey. Called Suave for a reason.
Yeah, he was very Suave right there. It was it almost looked like that was almost like a net code infraction as far as when he first tapped the rear bumper of him, but it was definitely close.
well, I know you were following Ethan for a little bit, so was I. It looks like Ethan was able to make the move done sector 3 there right before that big end that he had there 14. Got people in chat calling for Coach Jeffries to be taken back to D1.
Yeah, it is impressive. I agree with you that doing it in a BMW is even more impressive. The fact that he's holding out front in that car when the McLarens and everything else has proved to be so strong at this track, that he's holding a 4-second lead over the whole field is very impressive.
I don't think it was that far off the pace based off of Go Setup's times. I think it was like Go Setup was like a 34.6 for the BMW, whereas like McLaren, maybe I think it was like a 34.2.
34.1, I
34.1.
believe.
Okay. So, not too far off the pace. I think it sits right there in terms of the BOP, just based off of Go alone. Setup can play a huge difference.
Now, if we could just get the coach to fix his livery as much as he's good at fixing his driving lines.
Just imagine Neil Sutherland's, but just slightly different. It's like a slightly different hue. Pretty much the same though. Just 5 instead of 62.
I see. All right, I've got it in my mind. Everybody in the chat, you got it? That's what it looks like.
Yep. But Fredrickson and Beckham are once again battling it out. Looks like Seckham losing some time here on this back straight. We'll see Fredrickson be brave. Eases the dive, but Nedley just backs out of it. Continues to follow. See if he comes back here in sector 1. Like he's too far back to make anything. Got a little loose. Didn't notice last lap. Back straight. Fredrickson did get pretty loose and did lose a lot of time. Justin's pull out a little bit. Fredrickson.
Lee and Suave both pull in and make their stops. Both did good pit stops. Look straight, flat 5-second pit stops, rolling down the extremely long, slow pit lane now, coming back out on the course.
Well, time has flown by. We have 6 minutes left. 5 minutes left in the pit window. Pretty tight.
No, say let's go.
Top 8 here have not pitted and really want to pit with enough time to at least go around the track one more time just in case you make an error. Also see Doug Lee having a stop and go at 30.
Oh no.
Eating in the pit lane.
He did have such a dynamite pit stop, and that's why it looked so good. He got in and out of there too fast.
And, oh my goodness. Fredrickson out of the back, that corner there, just absolute rocket ship compared to Justin, and launches it down the straight and already pulled half a second gap. That was a,
wow.
That was a move, and just watching and seeing him just
holy smokes, did he get a run?
Yeah.
No kidding. Turner Johnson into the pits now. He had made some huge gains. We're going to see where he comes out after pit stop here. Good pit stop, 5 seconds flat. He's down off to Jackson, off away.
Other lessons learned from good old Doug is pit lane execution. Either help you win a race, or it can entirely lose you a race. Practice those
Testify
pit
to
stops.
that. They won me the race last night.
It also, I think earlier this season, hindered you at point 2.
Absolutely, yeah. It goes around, comes around. Absolutely. All the things that were hindering me earlier in the season, it just showed me, hey, this is what you got to practice. This is what you got to work on. And now coming towards the end, they're going back in my favor a little bit. Johnson comes right out behind Anderson. It's a close gap. Boy, he might overtake him here right off the bat.
Yeah, but they came out cold tires, or was it Johnson that really put?
No, Johnson's coming out of the pits right now, but I found, at least with when I did my pit stop, I found that the tires cooling off actually gave you slightly more grip for just a second, so you might even be a little bit faster than the cars that have already been out on track. At least that was what I experienced with the McLaren, but it's all different for sure, whatever setup you're running.
It has gone up 2 degrees. It's 23, and like Adam has alluded to multiple times tonight, that temperature change affect the tires a little more than you wanted them to.
No. Right on board with Johnson here as he gets his outlap completed. Final couple corners of it coming up here.
Yeah, and say those temperature issues seem to be most prominent on the Porsches, but this is D3, so we don't have any Porsches to worry about.
Well, the Porsche in general is just awful on tires. Being full blunt and honest, after driving it last season, you get done with your 60-minute stint and you have no rear tires. It's 1 point something some nights. Other nights it's literally 0.9. Porsche, not fun to drive when you have tire issues. I can understand why.
doubt.
Maybe last night we saw some leaky tires. Everybody's bouncing around on our timing sheets at the moment as people are coming in and out of the pits. Things are getting moved around with all the pit stops coming to an end. You start seeing that a little bit on the track map, that people are getting bunched up once again.
Lee going back in the pits to serve his penalty as the other Lee skates by him. 21st place to 4th place there, unfortunately.
Yeah, see Marvin and Marvin and Boyd side by side. Marvin's going to take that spot.
Had that on the main screen when he started mentioning it, so tag teamed on that one. Read my
Very
mind.
nice.
Coach is
Yeah, it's going to be... no, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was about to say, Coach is the only one that hasn't pit, so he has to come in now. And put him right with Krocek, potentially.
Krocek's getting impeded right now by Almeida, though. Oh, Almeida does move aside and gives him the back straight.
But, what were you about to say, Adam, before I kind of tripped over you?
No, I was going to say it's definitely still going to be a tight... This is going to solidify their lead, of course, in the point standings for Coach's finish here, but as long as his pit stop goes, of course. But I was going to say there's not going to be much change or additional gap in the team standings going into next week. So it's still, I think, going to be a 3-way battle. Of course, we see Laren up there in P4 currently. That's going to be a solid point stay. I see Johnson in 8th. That's going to be a decent point stay, and I believe teammates doing pretty well too. I believe that's Roger. That's his teammate, correct?
I believe so. I think there's 2 ZDR teams. There's the Orange McLarens and the...
So I believe that would be Roger. And so P8, P10, that's going to be a solid point stay, because I believe Sutherland, who Coach's teammate, is all the way down to 14. So that's going to be pretty even point stay for everybody, for those top 3 teams. So it very well may come down to where they all stack up next week after the finish at Walker Glen.
Well, pointing out...
Oh, no.
On the last lap, Krocek may have been hindered a little more than he wanted. He's now sitting 7 seconds behind the coach.
Coach is out with a large gap on the final lap.
Yeah. Oh no! Oh no!
Oh my goodness! Oh, Gill's about to take the leader out.
Oh, that was heart-stopping for everyone involved.
So did Coach have issues in that pit? I'm seeing that stop and go 30 tag.
Oh, he may have sped.
No way!
I missed that. So, Coach, once he crosses the line, that's going to
I need to get the tap. He did actually tap him.
Officially, that's going to go to Krocek because I believe that's 130 seconds added.
Yeah. 120.
well,
Yeah. No, I think
ignore what I said a
160.
minute ago. This is going to shake up points big time.
No doubt.
Yeah, let's see where this is going to put Coach. Overall, P1 on track, but with the penalty, adds 120 to his time, so that's going to move him down quite a bit. Crowcheck comes across.
Is it 120 or 180? I think it might even be 180 seconds
I'm
for a stop and go 30.
Very tiny letters.
Yeah,
so
it's 120.
Coach immediately leaving, unfortunately. I don't blame him after that.
Oh,
That's heartbreaking.
That is really punching the gut.
Crowcheck is our winner tonight. Looks like Jarowski comes across the line to take silver after having some issues early on. What a phenomenal
Beautiful recovery.
race. Yes.
Absolutely. After several spins early on, hitting the reset, mental reset button, take the podium and silver is amazing. What a recovery drive.
I want to say shout out to Turner Johnson. Maybe we pull him up here. Kind of without John, it's our Rubber Chicken Award, so that would be our driver of the day. I think 13 spots, started 20th. So, what do you guys think?
Yeah.
Get them all pinged and aware, so that way they can mentally prepare for the interview. Probably let you guys run the interview. I do enough talking during the race.
Yeah, I don't know what else I'm just looking into as far as point standings go. I know Coach Jeffries was looking at possibly going after that P1 spot for driver's standings, but after that, it's going to be really difficult to do. So we'll see. Crowcheck's probably going to be the only one within reasonable distance of Laren to I believe he should get, with that win, he definitely should gain a bit on Laren. So next week is probably going to be between those two drivers as far as who gets the drivers championship.
Absolutely. Turner Johnson did make up 15 spots during that race.
Oh my goodness!
Finished 5th place. That's a huge run.
Did he? I thought he finished. I think 7th with
7th. Yep.
Before people started.
Yep. I'm sorry. You're right. Yep. That's still up there. I still have the finish up there on my left screen. So yeah, he did 7th.
Yeah, it looks like Jeffries settled out 17th after everyone cycled across the line.
That is
with the 122nd penalty,
especially after having such a dominant race.
That is really hard.
Tough to see.
The coach is once again continuing his clinic on what not to do in that situation.
But it's one of those things. Been there, done that. So he, like he says on his website, he done it all. So adding extra input.
Oh boy. I was just gonna go over real quick. Team standings, or the standings updated now. So yep, Jeffries is gonna fall to 3rd for driver's standings. Crowcheck has 546 and Laren has 586, and there's also a shake up in the team standings. Champion Motorsports, CEL takes over the lead with 940. ZDR Blackbird takes over 2nd with 923, and Human Nature falls to 3rd with 886.
Oof.
So how quickly things can change.
Yeah, with one race left, so it all comes down to it. I know we got Alex, our race winner. I'm gonna pull him up. I said I'll probably let you both run the interview. Welcome to the booth, Alex. I know that Sano, we did not get you here for your race win, but we were able to get you today.
Yeah, nice to be here. And I just took me a second, but I realized Jeffries got a penalty, so that's unexpected. But feels good.
Yeah, definitely unfortunate there, but congrats to yourself for keeping it consistent and being able to, to be in a position to take advantage of that because really, from neither one of you, we didn't really see any issues, any big mistakes. We saw that gap just right hovering 3.5 seconds pretty much the entire day. We saw it gain a little bit. About halfway through the race. We saw it close at about the 1.5. So take us through what happened there and happened to make it fall off just a little bit after that.
Yeah, I suspect he was kind of babying the tires, and that let me kind of close that gap from 4 to 1.5. But right around that time, I think mine started to fall off, and I think mine fell off sooner than his. So he opened up that gap again. But yeah, it never was more than 4 seconds or so. I also got a couple pro losses, so it wasn't too bad. But yeah, definitely pleased with how clean I kept it. Just a couple minor mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. Great execution throughout, and that definitely shakes things up. That's gonna with Coach Jeffries having that, it definitely shook up the team standings. They fell to third place, and everything's all topsy turvy going into the final week. So definitely next week, Watkins Glen's going to be pretty interesting. You got any thoughts on what to expect then?
I know that track pretty well, and so feeling pretty confident going in there. I also want to add, I'm really excited that Sean, my teammate, was right behind me, and I'm realizing now that that's a P2 for him. So really excited about this finish. But yeah, Watkins Glen. I know it's at night, so I don't think I've run a night race there yet. But hopefully it's similar enough to daytime Glen, and we could finish strong.
Yeah, and just to update you, you are now P2 in drivers' standings, and your Champion Motorsports team is currently sitting P1 in team standings now.
That's awesome. That's
Uh,
exciting.
Dudley, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I was just gonna follow up on exactly what you said. That's really cool. The points jump that you guys just had. And are you feeling good? You said you're pretty familiar with Watkins. Have you raced against Laren at all there before? What do you think the battle's shaping up for you guys? Because it looks like you're pretty much going to be the only ones fighting for the championship at this point, barring any major catastrophe from either one of you. But how do you feel like the battle's going to shake out between the two of you guys?
I don't know. I've only like this is the first season I've had any battles with Loran. So I kind of trust him as a driver, and but I haven't raced him there, but I'm sure we'll have a good showdown.
Looking forward to it, man. That's awesome. The team moved into first place, and you have a chance to definitely take first place with a good race in the final round.
Yeah, it's a big night for us.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for the broadcast.
Thank you. Sorry we couldn't get you on the first one, but glad we can get you on this one.
All right, appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for stopping by.
Bye.
Who else can we grab here?
I'm gonna grab Dominic for silver.
Standing.
Dominic, welcome to the booth and congratulations on the silver win.
Oh, sweet. I got a win in silver?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
How you feeling,
go
man?
ahead. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Adam.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, dominant drive. We saw on the day you were up 15 spots overall, and we saw you had some trouble early, a couple spins, and so just walk us through what happened early on and what went through your mind as far as climbing back through the field.
Yeah, so starting, lap one, I kind of had a bad exit, and I think before the back straight, and I totally disregarded where my braking mark is for that long straight, and I just missed it. So that was first mistake. Then a few corners after that, my dog decided to come and say hi, and and my keyboard lays on the floor, so he pressed a button to give me, I think, F5 or 6 to give me side view. So I was taking probably 2-3 corners in a side view, trying to not crash into anybody before, just looking with my hand where the F1 is to get the screen. And then that kind of got me frustrated. So I had tires, things like that. So I spent twice. I was, I think, P15 at that point, or P14, P15. So I was like, you know what? Let me reset. I hopped into pit, +1. And then I just kept my head down and started chugging at it, chugging. And then fastest lap in the race too, I think.
Yeah, yes, you were. And I was just going to mention that you had consistently faster laps than the leaders for a good portion of the race there as you came back through the field, and that was just a heroic effort. We kind of kept, if you watch the replay, the broadcast back, we mentioned you quite a few times, kind of keeping track of your climb through the field, and it was just really fun to watch. Dub, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, definitely. Walk us through a little bit. You put in one heck of a lap in qualifying and got yourself out front early there. Did you feel like maybe you were just under a little bit more pressure because you had qualified so well? Did that affect your race at all early on? Did that, or was it more the incident? I know you told the story about dog stepping on the keyboard. That's definitely a major issue. Was there any pressure? Were you feeling a lot of pressure starting the race?
It wasn't more of a pressure, or maybe it was a pressure, but it was more of like trying not to screw up people behind me, right? Braking too early and then having them crash into me. That comes into play. Typically I start mid-pack, backpack. I have people in front of me to worry about. Now I had people in the back of me to worry about. So it's I would say brand new feeling that I wasn't experienced, but this was a great opportunity to experience it. So I'll carry that over to the next race.
Yeah, fantastic job, man. Great qualifying, and way to just stay with it even when you had kind of a disappointing start. It takes a lot to, like you said, hit the reset button, get in the pit lane, get your head down, and come out with a fairly decent result out of the whole thing. So that was a really great job.
Yeah, thanks for keeping a tab on me during the race. Now I'm gonna have something to replay and show my wife.
Yeah, show it off to everybody. Nice job, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Dominic. I'm going to pull up our rubber chicken, Turner Johnson.
Big gainer.
Welcome to the booth, Turner. We were saying earlier in the booth here, you were our driver of the day, also, as John likes to call it, the Rubber Chicken Award.
Oh man, that's actually not expected. Thank you, I started the race off and I thought I actually punted somebody T1. I thought I was in trouble. I did a quick race review and it wasn't until I ran into my teammate because at the beginning of the lap. But that was because some car came across the bow. It wasn't 100% off, but you know what I mean. It was a hectic start, and I appreciate the drive of the day. I didn't have the car fully dialed in, I feel like, so I just was trying to hang on for dear life. Had one slippage, lost a couple positions, and just try to keep trucking. Definitely a tricky track to just stay in the zone, and at the end I kind of clicked a little bit, which was nice. I put my fastest lap in at the last lap, so good and bad there, I guess.
Yeah, well, fantastic job, man. Way to pull out a pretty great result. From, like you said, you felt like you didn't have the car dialed in that well. And you had a couple spots where, I mean, we were watching your momentum there for a while. You were making up quite a few spots. Walk us through a little bit what happened when you did head off. Like, what's your recovery process as far as that goes? I know a lot of times that can really throw you off. So how did all that feel to you? If you can walk us through that a little bit.
Oh yeah, solid question. Where my head was at there, as I was actually not fully in the zone. Car ahead actually, I think went wide, and I saw dust, and I was actually kind of looking at the car ahead into the apex. So when I went through the corner, I didn't really get on the throttle like you need to. I didn't realize it until I was almost off the track, and so kind of that moment is know that you're you've lost control, lift and try to correct it and not steer back into traffic rejoining. So luckily there is kind of I was away in the runoff, which was nice, but I didn't want to rejoin and try to go over the apex. So just try to basically I think for a couple laps after that, I wasn't really in the zone. So just try to mental reset, midway through the race and I started to bring it together, but yeah, the initial instant was just kind of just a little bit of a brain fart, and then from there just trying to get back to grips. And that next lap or two, you're kind of beating yourself up. And I've been doing it for a while, kind of racing for a little while now, and you just got to kind of get back in that zone, or whatever it is. Hopefully I explained it well.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for sharing that with us, man. It is a tough thing to do. Did you ever consider, because it looked like you waited to take your pit stop towards the very end of the race. Have you ever used that to kind of do a reset, taking the pit stop at that time when you make a mistake and using that to reset a little bit?
Yeah, actually, that was probably the plan at first, and then my right tires, I was just cutting the track like a madman. So both my right tires were not doing so good in the pressure, and I knew once I pitted they would be not so good. So I think I finished. My right rear was around 25 and a half. It was not doing so good. So
Whoa.
so at that point I made the adjustment to just try to do it super late. And honestly, like the one thing was, I was behind a blue flag for a while, and we were about on the same pace, and honestly, we were all good. Like I kind of was behind him for a while, and then got around him. I think at one point, then we pit cycled. He was back up front, or whatever it was. So um, it was just kind of making those little adjustments, but the pit reset wasn't there. I was just trying to drag it to the end. Unfortunately, that didn't go in my favor. But sometimes getting out of the traffic or getting out of that blue flag, I'd normally pit, but in this case, I kind of was just flying by the seat of my pants.
Yeah, well, great job, man. You really pulled up. You ended up making up a total of 15 positions throughout the race. So that's even with the little mistake that we were talking about. So fantastic job keeping it together even with that.
I appreciate it, and that appreciate you guys tracking it. You guys are always right on the ball. I feel like you guys are top tier commentators over here. You guys have been doing a great job, so appreciate you guys doing the service. And shout out to the ZDR boys. Want to just give a big shout out to my teammates. Obviously Nate Roger, he's been holding it down. Honestly, he's been MVP on my team. He's obviously my teammate, but I pinged him today. I got in a little incident with him. Unfortunately, I dinged him, but it's the last thing I want to do. He's been good. And Mike Lee and Nico Suave, those are my sister car teammates, but they're always in chat. Usually, just kind of everyone's talking and keeping spirits up. So really appreciate those guys being for us. And Armands Petrovics, we call him KB, but he's the one with the major good livery design. So shout outs to KB for the livery design. Hope you guys like that.
Yeah, man.
absolutely.
Thanks for stopping by the chat, man. It was great chatting with you, and good luck on the next race. How do you feel about that one?
Honestly, I love that track. I feel a lot better for that. But like you see, it could change quickly in your favor. So I'm just gonna try to actually practice my qualifying time, and we'll see how it goes. But appreciate you guys having me on board. Hopefully, we'll see me again, or hopefully all my teammates back on the chat.
Sounds good, man. See you next week.
All right, cheers, guys. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, it'll be interesting seeing them go try to shoot for a championship. I like to see that confidence. Absolutely. You see a driver said, "Hey, yes, I like that track." That kind of confidence going into a week is big, especially when you're fighting for a championship, which they are. They're only, I believe, 17 points behind champion CEO.
Very hot and heavy battle next week. Exciting because Glenn always provides plenty of good action.
No doubt. Yeah, the top 4 teams are very close. It could be anybody's season.
Well, quickly, do you guys have any closing remarks you'd like to say before I go on to the sponsor spiel?
No, I don't think so. I think we covered everything. But yeah, definitely just anyone who's watching, tune in next week. I mean, this is probably one of the closer battles amongst all the divisions. Is for this D3 championship. So if you have the time next week, be here, same time, same place to watch it go down.
Yep. Well, quickly before we end here, I want to say a huge thank you to all of our SRA sponsors and title sponsors here at SRA, as well as support from Documize, a modern business solution for product management. Go to documize.com to learn more today. Support from Retro Saga, a North American-based gaming company that provides accessories for your favorite classic systems. Enhance your retro gaming experience today at retrosaga.ca. Big thank you to all of our affiliates: Track Racer, Experience Redefined, gaming with Track Racer's high-quality sim rigs and accessories. You'd use code SRATE at checkout to support us. Armamentario, a toolbox for ACC that will enhance your chance to win. Enjoy a fully customizable enhanced HUD to change the way you experience ACC. And lastly, Go Setups. Premium esports subs for everyone. Use our affiliate link on our Discord and take your drive to the next level. These can also be found on our website. I believe it's sra.gg will bring you to our website, as well as finding these on our Discord. I want to also say thank you to everybody that tunes in every week. Thank you to the admin staff. Without you guys, we would not be able to put this on. And a huge thank you to all of the drivers. Without you, we would not be able to put that little extra spice on the race. You guys bring all of the entertainment. But on that note, thank you everyone, and we will see you next week for Watkins Glen.